My dear Bagginses and Buffins.
By the blood of our people, are your lands kept safe?
I see in your eyes the same fear that will take the heart of me.
So do all who live to see such times.
By all that you hold dear, on this good earth.
There's some good in this world, and it's worth fighting.
Welcome back, everyone. Today we are talking about Rings of Power Season 2, Episode 3, which also released at the same time as 1 and 2. So it was a 3-episode release. Some people binged them. I didn't get that chance, but I got 1 and 2 down, got into this one. And this one we are getting right back to where we left off with Numenor. Something we was missing in the first 2 episodes. So if you binged them, you might not have realized that. But literally, Numenor is not involved in episode 1 or 2, which is kind of crazy to me. 2 hours in and no Numenor. So we get this Elendil scene with Isildur's horse, and it's refusing to leave and go back to Numenor.
So yeah, it gets released and we follow the horse.
Yeah.
I think it goes back to that village.
Yeah,
that
you
they were
take it
in.
away, because, you take it away.
And then it gets, I'll give the summary.
Yeah.
And it gets surrounded by 4 orcs who attempt to capture it, but Beric escapes into the Black Forest where no one comes out alive,
Yeah.
according to the orcs. And I mean, this Mordor's exist for 2 days. They already have a lore around the Black Forest. So he goes into a spooky cave, and there's skeletons, and he finds a Isildur in a spider web.
Yeah.
So they never explain how Isildur, last we saw him, he was in a collapsing, burning building.
Yeah.
But anyway, so the spiders start hatching, and Isildur takes this knife from this orc that's across from him, but the orc wakes up, and then he has to kill the orc, and then the spider ends up finishing off the orc, and then the spider attacks Isildur, who stabs it, and then Isildur and Beric make their escape. So now we're back to Numenor. That's what happened. That was the opening sequence.
Yeah, now I'm going to say the exact same thing that I said about Sauron. I don't need this horse backstory to get to Isildur. In fact, I don't even understand how the horse got away from orcs. It
fought the orcs. Yeah.
This is
it-
my
it
least
killed one of them.
favorite scene in the entire show so far, is this opening thing. I hated it so much. I was like, this is ridiculous. Why are we watching a horse? I know what they're doing. And I even was like, this is literally them tapping into this awesome moment between Aragorn and his horse in Two Towers. The horse goes and finds him. He had fallen off of a cliff into a river, and it rescues him and it brings him back to Helm's Deep. That's what this is. This sucks. That's great. And what the hell's going on here? Okay, so the horse is looking for its rider. Sure, I'm on board with it so far. I still don't care why are we following a horse, but let's see if we can get this. No, we can't get it going. It gets captured by orcs, but oh wait, the horse wins the fight, killing 2 of them, and rides off into the dark forest that is apparently too scary for orcs to go into, even though orcs have nowhere else to go except for dark forests. But apparently there's spiders in here. We don't want to go where the spiders are. And somehow Isildur is still alive, despite being in a burning building, like you said. And
They don't explain it. Yeah.
it has been, well, okay, how long has it been? We don't know, but I'm assuming at least a few days. Has someone been feeding him? I mentioned this to someone who had watched the episode, and they were like, I think the orcs are bringing him food and water, or maybe the spiders. And I'm like, wait, are you telling me that
There's no way the
spiders are bringing Isildur food and water to keep him alive? They're like, yeah, they're plumping him up for a feast. And I can't help but think maybe that's true. Maybe
There's no way.
Hey, it is just as plausible as the elven riders died randomly And luckily for Sauron, it's just as plausible that spiders are keeping Isildur alive. So this is my issue. I hate this opening. Literally, have Isildur wake up in the spider thing, fight it off himself, and run into his horse. Why did we have the horse? Anyway, that's okay. Let's just get into the Numenor stuff because I hate that scene. I hate it so much. I can't stand it.
Because it doesn't. I mean, it still doesn't make sense how they weren't able to rescue Isildur.
Yeah.
In season 1.
Because how did he? So here's what happened, right? Like there's only one explanation.
The spider was hungry and dragged him back to his lair.
Well, but like yeah. So, like I guess there's two explanations, but one's stupid. So either the spiders come after the fire, in which he's like knocked out in a smoldering building, and they drag him. I guess because he's still alive, they drag him back to the lair, and keep him there for some time, hopefully a short time because he's got no food or water. Or like he gets out of the burning building and then wanders through the woods and gets caught in the spider web. Both are stupid, but one, I guess the spider dragging him is kind of more stupid, but still like
but it explains that how he got out.
Yeah, I still don't know how he got out. You're right. Like
the spider dragged him out. That's
so
how
the
he
spider dug him out of the burning building? Like the
Yeah, they smelled man flesh.
They smelled man flesh. Okay. Yeah. All right. Like that's right. Like that's it. Like it's that. There's no other. Like I hated it. I thought that it should have him wake up in there, have him get out, and have him stupidly stumble into the spider web. But either way, I don't even care about the backstory of this. But I have to because it's Isildur and he's literally in a burning building. How did he live? We don't know. So he's alive. He's in the spiderweb. The horse saves him, kind of, and then he fights off an orc. And then they ride. They get out.
Yeah.
And then we're back in Numenor. Cut to his dad and his sister arguing about
oh yeah, the
stuff.
king's body.
Yeah.
And Arion, what's her name?
That's
Hermione.
Hermione.
As you say. Arion blames someone. Muriel? Question mark. That's what I wrote.
Yeah. Well, because like they're like, they're mourning all the dead soldiers and she's like, it's somebody's fault, and then implying like
he's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, and he's like, oh my god, my daughter's gone right wing. Like, what is going on here? She's gone down the right wing pipeline.
So I noticed Elendil's still addressing Muriel as Queen Regent. Like, why not Queen? So it's very their system's just different than here.
But it's not okay. So I think that they're trying to get across is she hasn't been crowned yet. She's still the Queen Regent. But I thought, so I actually don't know, but I would think that this person's dead. The coronation would happen pretty quickly.
But I'm just saying, like King Charles, he called him King Charles immediately, even though he didn't have his coronation.
That's right. Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. So I think they're just there's a screwed up thing where like they're temporarily without a regent. And so she is the regent. They're temporarily without a king or a queen, and she will be crowned queen in a matter of moments. But until then, she's still only acting regent, which means she's not like is not the final say or so. There's this.
They still haven't decided that for sure that she's gonna be queen, I guess.
As if there's like any option, like she's the direct descendant of the king. But no, there's just something kind of screwy there. And then this stressed out woman comes up and knocks her teeth in.
And then Muriel hugs her.
Yeah, so she actually has a good politician-y moment here, right? So she gets punched, and then she's like, "Oh, you must be upset of someone you lost," and she's like, "Yeah, my son." And then she's like, I am too, and she hugs her, and it's like, so she's like trying to like mend the people's pain. She knows how much pain her decisions caused. She did it for what she believed was right, but in the end, it still hurt a lot of people.
And I also wanted to mention that it's Muriel, since she can't see, she needs Elendil to describe what's going on around her. And it's basically, you can tell people are politicking. Like there's Pharazôn and the other nobles are up to something.
Yeah, Pharazôn is looking devilishly evil here. He's like got this grin on his face and he's looking around like, all right, we know what we are doing, right, boys? And it's like, we are gonna get this taken care of. So yeah, Pharazôn, we always knew he was gonna be, maybe not evil's the wrong word. He was gonna be an antagonist to I guess the Queen Regent was supposed to be the protagonist, even though she was kind of an antagonist because our true protagonist was Galadriel at the time. But anyway, I digress. He was always gonna be a problem, and I kind of wish we spent more time with him in the first season, because his descent into, like, was he always power hungry, or is it like, it seems like to me, from what I remember.
Yeah, he was always like politicking and like getting and like, you know, rubbing shoulders with people, trying to like get everyone on his side, and you know.
But there are moments where he almost is like, I must do this for the greater good, and I can't tell if he believes it himself or not. I guess is what I'm going for. Like, is he just like, I don't care if I should lead, I'll lead. I want to lead, or is it like, I'm the only one that sees the...
I don't think that could be earnest, because the issue with Muriel is that she sent the soldiers to the New World, and he was on board with that. He literally endorsed it.
Right, that's why I'm like confused. So like...
So no, he's not. He supported the war. He's like, you know, he's like Hillary Clinton running after George Bush. And, yeah, you support the war in Iraq too, so it makes no difference.
Yeah. So like, that's why I'm like, I don't understand. Is he just always out trying to become king, or is he like, no, I know the way? Because everything he does is like for a show. So yeah, he must just be out for power. So yeah, we get a fun scene with him and the Queen. I say fun because of what's about to happen later on.
Oh yeah, they're in her room. Back to her room. She's going through her father's personal effects. Pharazôn enters, and this is about choosing the color for her gown for the coronation, white or red.
Yeah,
and they also have that thing where there's something behind her back.
Yeah, and it's like this armband.
He says, "Show me," and she's like, "I got nothing," but she just put it on her wrist.
So she did show him.
She did show him, but she pretended that she was wearing that the whole time, and it's nothing. Yeah. So Pharazôn prefers red, represents change. Muriel chooses white because her father wore white. White is humbler, and also eagles showed up to her father's coronation, which is a good omen.
Yes. Now, is Pharazôn trying to like get her to admit she's blind? Because he keeps like holding these colors out to see if she'll like pick one, and she keeps like not looking and like not picking them out of his hand. She just like talks to him like, I would obviously choose white. And I know she's blind. Does Pharazôn know she's blind? Like, he knows she's blind, but like, does she know he knows? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think everyone.
Does everyone know?
Okay. I think everyone knows, and she knows everyone knows. Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, this is a fun little scene for later on. But I just wanted to make note of the colors.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Then Muriel goes to that Palantir room, and the Palantir is missing. So I think Arian grabbed it.
Yeah.
At the end of season 1.
Yeah, and then we literally jump into a bar scene.
Yeah, the bar area of Numenor that we are always at. So you can hear Kemen's personality changed a little bit, I think, but you can hear Kemen talking to the Lord Balzagar.
Yeah.
And he says Muriel's unfit to rule because she's blind.
Yep.
And Arion and Pharazôn and Kemen and Balzagar are all the ones here. And Balzagar is saying Pharazôn should rule. And then...
Yeah, so this is the moment I was meaning, where it's like, oh, I guess I will. If I must, I will take that responsibility, and I will lead. Like, But you're right. He's been politicking this whole time. He was for the war. He stopped that worker revolt because one else showed up. He has been both supporting and undercutting the queen all along. So yeah, he's definitely politicking. I just don't know if he believes it or not. So she Hermione, whatever her name is, Hermione believes it, right? So she's like, oh, the queen is unfit because she's being controlled by the Palantir. Does Pharazôn care, or is he just like, I want to, you know what I mean? Like, does he care that the queen is using the Palantir, or is he more like, I just want to rule?
I don't know yet. I don't think we know yet.
Yeah.
So this is when Valandiel, that's Isildur's friend, approaches, and Kemen goes full on snob and says,
yeah,
it's a pity the lower class common soldiery weren't invited, and and then Valandiel, I think I didn't write it all down, but anyway, that happens. Then Valandiel is upset because he can hear Kemen speaking bad of the queen, and I guess the soldiers bonded with the queen, they like her.
Yeah.
And then he insults Kemen, saying like, well, like, even considering the low class that was allowed to go there, I'm surprised we weren't invited. And then, did you insult my dad? And this, no, I insulted you.
yeah, that's the only line I really thought that was a fun line. And I love how Pharazôn isn't bothered by this because he kind of knows his son's a little d-bag. He's like, yeah, he got you there, son. You're a piece of...
He doesn't care for his son at all.
No, he doesn't. He's like, yeah, my son is just interested in Hermione, and he's an idiot. I don't really care. Luckily, though, Hermione is been corrupted by me and my son, so she'll help me out. So he's like kind of happy with how things have wound up for him.
And yeah, this is when Arion tells the others at the table about the Palantir.
Yeah.
And how Muriel was just listening to the Palantir.
So that's the thing. It's like, so they don't know until this point, right? And so at this moment, maybe Pharazôn, maybe this is a triggering moment where he's like, okay, she's crazy. She's listening to a little magic seeing stone. I should take over. But he's also been politicking the whole time. So yeah, I don't know. I think there's more complexity here than just evil Pharazôn. I'm not trying to downplay it. He's not a good dude, and he's probably not going to be a good leader. But I just think his character. There's more interesting things with his character. I wish we got more time with him. He does not get a lot of screen time. So I just wish we got to be around him more and see how he interacts, see his...
Yeah, nothing's from his narrative perspective.
That's right, We get it all from other people's who see him in the background, or like one time Halbrand talks to him and tells him...
Yeah, there's even some with Kemen, because he's like burning the shit down or something.
Yeah. So like, I wish we just got more of him, and just to get more insight into him. Hopefully we get that going forward. But then we get out of there and we get back to the
we're back
orcs.
to Mordor, and Adar's preparing for a war, and then we see some hill trolls.
Yes, that's right. We get to see these awesome hill trolls.
Or was there just one, maybe? I don't know.
Well, we get one hill troll, but I'm assuming...
And he drops this orc head and says, that was the messenger.
Yeah. And also, this hill troll has a lot of names. It's got a very, like, Game of Thrones-esque, like, multiple titles. Mountain Giant Slayer and all this stuff. I thought that was fun. So he's like the leader of the hill trolls. So I'm guessing...
The troll asks where Sauron is.
Yeah. Yeah, so the troll is in on it, and we also get this orc moment right
Is
here.
that where this is? Okay.
Yeah, so this is where the orcs are like seeing this troll come walking, and so they like go to like protect their baby or something. I don't really know what.
Well, no, the baby thing came from, I mean, he was asking Adar, like, do we really need to go to war? You said Sauron was dead. Why don't we just let Sauron be dead? And Adar says, there's certain things that a father should concern himself with,
Yeah.
and the son just needs to, trust him.
Yeah. So
And then that's when the orc goes over to his like
baby.
little. There's like a I didn't pick that up the first time I watched it.
Me neither.
I thought he was just going to like another weaker orc, but that's his like that's a shorter orc who's like his orc wife.
Yeah,
and
that's
holding
the
an
orc wife.
baby.
And that's an
She's
orc
holding
baby.
an orc baby.
Yeah.
Tolkien apparently said that orcs procreate the same way everything else does. Like it's.
Oh no, I'm not saying there can't be orc babies.
Yeah.
And it's not that I don't care about if there's orc babies or not in Tolkien. My thought was more like these orcs. I'm confused by the orcs now because these orcs seem like they want to be civilized. You know what I mean? Like they want a quiet life. That is not how I understood the orcs. Now, Rings of Power is a fan fiction. They are, free to do what they want with the orcs. I've always liked the orcs being simply evil creatures so that you didn't care too much when you killed them. But this kind of, and they were kind of a magically corrupt, almost zombie-esque creature, as we've talked about before. This makes it seem like they're not that. And so now it makes it.
Yeah, I'm wondering if, like, this is where the ring comes in, or maybe or Sauron's influence.
Well, maybe,
like,
but
maybe
the orcs were created using dark magic to be evil killing machines.
I mean, they still are evil killing machines, though, but they're still they just have some self-preservation interests.
Oh, I see. Okay. That's where that's the dichotomy I have in my head. It's like, okay, if they are just bred for killing, why is this one like, oh, let's not go to war, Adar, let's just settle down and have a family?
It's because he doesn't want to die.
Right, but then he's not going to get to go to war. And this is, like, I mean, if I go to a Warhammer thing, not that I want them to go to a Warhammer thing, the orcs want to go to war. They wouldn't want to sit around and not go to war. That's how I imagined orcs to be. And not that I'm saying that this was ripping off Warhammer. Obviously, the opposite would be true. I'm just saying that, like, the orcs were just mindless war creatures that you could root for the death of. And now that I see, like, this one doesn't want to go to war, it's like, okay, now these are just basically, like, disfigured people versus a dark magic creature that was designed to fight and only wants to fight. So I can see some people having an issue here.
I mean, that's interesting because we didn't really dive into it in the first one, but they did in that episode 1. That's Sauron's opening speech, because he's going after the orcs, saying like, "What are you gonna do without me? The humans won't accept you. The elves won't accept you. You have no choice but to follow me."
Yeah.
So it sounds like the orcs like, can't we just like go blend into society?
Yeah, no, exactly. No, exactly. Like it kind of has, like, so in Dungeons and Dragons, for example, you can
have an orc that's just like in your party.
Right. So orcs there are just a not disfigured. They're just a green
species,
a
and
green
they live
humanoid species that are similar to humans.
Like, you could go to a bar and there might be an orc there. He's having a drink too.
Right. Now that's not how I envisioned Middle Earth. Middle Earth, I envisioned these guys as being similar to how we saw the Uruk-hai being created. Now, obviously, these weren't going to be created the same way, but just the idea, like, they are awoken up and controlled simply to go to war, and they love doing that, and so, like, that's what they want to go do.
Yeah, it is interesting. So you have an orc that actively does not want to fight, and he's like, "We have to."
Yeah, exactly. So I am sure if I'll watch it now that I've seen the first 3 episodes. I'll see what other people are saying. I'm sure this is going to get a lot of criticism towards it.
Oh, it is. Yeah.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
Okay. So I can kind of see where it's coming from. Not the orc baby. I don't care about that. Like, that's interesting to me, actually. But the idea that an orc doesn't want to fight seems off from how do we separate orc from just a disfigured humanoid creature type of thing? I don't know.
I think maybe it's just Adar's influence. Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, you're right. Adar was a very calming presence to me. He was like,
I
I'm gonna
guess-
find you a holy land, like a homeland that you can be out in the daylight or out in the daytime, and we're gonna build a new life. And so maybe, despite these orcs being the descendants of black magic creatures, they are starting to gain autonomy and humanity through Adar's presence. That could be an explanation. I'm open to it. I just, it's hard for me to recognize this now and go, okay, but I literally want to go watch a movie right now where Gimli and Legolas are counting the deaths of orcs. And now when I watch that scene, I'm gonna be like, am I okay to cheer at these numbers? Like, are they are they, is that okay to be massacring these people? They just want a place to call home. So I don't know. That's where it's way easier for me to get behind the battle when they're orcs that are mindless, basically zombies, like you said. Now it's going to be hard for me to be like rooting for the deaths of all these orcs. So yeah, it's maybe that's their point too. I mean, I know writers like to do that, make you kind of question your own philosophy on things, and so maybe that's their point here. We'll have to see. But yeah, I just thought it was interesting.
I mean, I heard something that Tolkien later kind of had some issues with the way he formulated orcs because he didn't think anything should be irredeemably evil.
That's right. Yeah, I heard the same thing. So this could be even tapping into that. Yeah, I don't know. I'm curious to see where this goes. I don't hate it.
And maybe it sets the stage for like the post-Ring orcs. Like
True.
now the orcs like after the Lord of the Rings trilogy, like the main one. Sauron's gone, the ring's gone. Maybe these orcs do become like World of Warcraft orcs. And
well, just... so they either do, yeah, they either go in that direction. I'm curious to see what if we get more of that in this show. Because yeah, like in my mind, like the Warhammer is a way to go, but yeah, I could see them going more the World of Warcraft, where they're a bit more just like in their own society, or like the Dungeons and Dragons, where like they just are out in public and their society is kind of off by itself in the woods or caves, but like some of them do venture into the human towns and like work there and live there. So I'm kind of curious to see where they go with this. I also will watch some of the videos yelling about it, just to see what people are saying.
Yeah.
Okay, so next we are back in Eregion.
Yep.
And the dwarves are here now. So the dwarves have come.
Yeah. Decent and Durin are there, and Celebrimbor's offering rings to the dwarf lords in exchange for providing mithril to make them. And he wants Durin to convince his dad to receive the aid. And Durin says he's not on speaking terms with his father, and Anatar steps in to talk to Durin the Fourth. Durin the Fourth asks where Elrond is.
Yeah.
He seems skeptical of Anatar.
Yeah, I like that.
Is nice. It's nice that Durin and Elrond both have these like similar traits around being skeptical of the rings and this like guy, this weird old guy.
Yeah, I like that too. I thought that was really good, because
I mean, I think they need to drive the point home that Durin doesn't trust him, so that they can show that this guy does not have influence over him later.
That's right. It's like Durin the Fourth is not in the same level of corruption as Celebrimbor or Galadriel. He has not accepted gifts from this guy. He doesn't consider this guy a friend or even like this guy. And he thinks he's a liar, because he's like, the way we talked about Elrond, that's not like, he jokes.
Yeah, Elrond said you're the wisest of all the dwarves. Like, Elrond would never say that about me.
Now, the funny thing is, Elrond would actually, but I get the joke. Like we always like we do that with our friends and stuff, right? Like you'll if someone says something like, no, he didn't say that, did he? Like that. But like I get the joke. It's kind of funny, but in reality, Elrond actually really does respect Durin here. So Elrond does consider him a very wise dwarf, and probably wiser than his father. I mean, it's his father's fault after all that they didn't get the mithril and that they wouldn't accept that amazing amount of food and money and gifts from the elves in exchange for some mithril. It was like food enough for like, what was it, 400 or 500 years of just nonstop food delivery just for some mithril. So yeah, that I think Elrond does consider Durin the Fourth a very wise dwarf and would be a great ruler. It's weird though that like, okay, so they summon the dwarves here, and then the dwarves have to go back home, and then the dwarves will all have to come back. It's one of those moments where like, it made a lot more sense in season 1 for Elrond to go there and treat with them continuously. Here, it's like there's so much back and forth, and we time jump so much. Like literally, the end of last episode, they got this note, and now they're here. Right? Like it's so quick that they got here. But yeah, I do like this scene, that continuation of it. So like Disa and Durin leave, and then we go back. We stay with Celebrimbor and Annatar, and Annatar is like.
But yeah, this is about the patience thing, because Annatar is saying that we need to make the rings as soon as possible, and Celebrimbor's more patient, says like the slow drip cuts the rock, because Annatar needs this to get done quick, because I mean, they'll show up Elrond and Galadriel are going to show up at any minute, and Celebrimbor's like, what's the rush? Like, we don't need, like, I could make these rings in like 5 years. It really wouldn't matter.
Yeah. Now, okay. So now we've got to the crux of the issue that you brought up, and that is like the timing. So Sauron wants this done quickly. He needs it done quickly, even if he didn't have a hand in the deaths of the messenger. There will be more messengers. There will be more communication between Lindon and Eregion at some point. And yes, Elrond's probably on his way back here, at the very least. Maybe Galadriel too. Maybe Gil-galad to say thank you for saving the elves. You know what I mean? So like, we don't like. Sauron doesn't know what's coming. He knows it's coming though, eventually. Now, could he not? Does he need Celebrimbor alive?
I don't know.
Could he not? Now, I don't know. I know the lore would say probably he was alive, but this is the show, and I'm going with the show timing of things. Here is Annatar, Sauron in the workshop by themselves, just the two of them. Could he not kill him and then take his form and hand these rings out, and you know what I mean, and like pretend to be Celebrimbor when Celebrimbor has been dead, and do it that way? Or does he actually need elven forging ability to make these rings?
I don't think he need. I mean, I think he probably needs Celebrimbor just for the trust aspect. Like,
but couldn't he just
made the
shift
first
and do it?
I don't know. It ain't that kind of movie, kid.
Yeah. All right, fair enough. Fair enough.
But we know he doesn't need him to make the rings, because he does make the one ring on his own in secret.
But maybe that's later. So maybe that's after.
Oh, that's after Celebrimbor taught him.
Yeah. So I would have thought, okay, maybe he needs him to help him learn. So he's gonna do the dwarf rings with him, and then he could kill. I don't know. Like I'm just curious as to how long does Celebrimbor need to be alive for? But you know, like you said, this ain't that kind of movie.
But yeah, this is how Annatar continues to manipulate Celebrimbor to speed things up. So he says, "Oh, the High King doesn't think dwarves are worthy of rings, and the messengers are gonna show up at any moment to say making rings are forbidden now."
Yeah.
And the High King doesn't even know I'm here. Galadriel banished me. And so Celebrimbor writes a letter to the king saying, "Oh, I'm shutting down my forge.
Yep.
I'm gonna join them in Lindon," but he's actually not. He's just trying to buy time.
Yeah.
And
Now,
That's when they
hopefully that messenger doesn't get killed.
and Celebrimbor wants to make these rings because I wrote he sees these rings as being his magnum opus. He wants to
Yes.
do it. This is gonna be his great achievement, making these
Yes.
rings.
No, I love. So, like I said in the previous episode, I really like this actor's uh, portrayal now. I've really changed my tune. He's now got this glint to him where it's like he he will make these rings because he needs to. And yes, Sauron is corrupting him, but the corruption was already there. The ego corruption was already there, the hubris. And so
Yeah.
he was so easily manipulated because of his character wanting to be seen as the best creator.
And I don't want to knock him, but he's able to do this because, like, we go to their oranges. He'll never be as good as Feanor because of this.
Yep.
He's making it out of mithril, which was made out of the Palantir
Yep.
in the first place.
Yep.
He's just manipulating materials Feanor already gave him.
No, I know. So like that's the whole thing. Like he's so down the rabbit hole now of
But,
like
but even if he did these rings, he still is not Feanor.
that's right.
It doesn't.
No, I know. No, I agree. And I think he's blind to that. Even though if you would walk him through it, I still think he needs to do this because he thinks this is the only way for him to be considered good, and that need to have his ego boosted like that is a huge character flaw in this guy. And
I said Palantir. I think I meant the Silmarils. It's a Silmarils.
Oh yeah. Sorry, yeah.
Before we get yelled at, I did correct myself.
Yeah, no, we got it. We know what we're doing. Okay, but yeah, no, I think it's great, and I really do like how they made this character so corruptible with almost nothing. Because on the surface that seems like how could you like when you just tell someone Sauron corrupted an elf to make the rings, they're like, oh, how would you do that? How do you like this? You literally go to him and be like, hey, you're the best. We need some magic rings to save the world, and you're the only one who can do it. Boom, he's going to do it because he's like, this is how I live in infamy. And so yeah, I really like what's going on with those two. I hope we get more Celebrimbor. I did not think I would ever say that from season 1. Season 1, I was like, please don't cut back to this guy. He's just doing cheesy smiles to the camera. But now he's actually like doing stuff and looking troubled, but also looking like hungry for power is the wrong word, but like hungry for like that recognition that I am the greatest craftsman, and Anatar and the gods chose me. Like it's all there, and I love that aspect and what they're tapping into. So we are done with those guys, and we're back in Mordor with Isildur
and Beric. And Isildur is weak and thirsty. He starts to get a drink, but the pond is full of corpses, so he doesn't drink.
Yeah.
And he comes across a broken wagon with dead soldiers, and then there's this young woman who stabs him in the thigh with a knife, thinking he was an orc.
Yeah.
Then they have some funniness about you're supposed to leave the knife in. Yeah, we learned that in like first aid course.
Yep.
I remember that. Really, you're supposed to leave that in? I want it back. That's my knife.
Yeah.
And she has a map to Pelargir, and that's where we think all the refugees are, and that's an old Numenor outpost in Middle Earth, isn't it?
Yeah.
And they continue together. They get there, or they get to another wagon where there's this dying old man. But it's and he's struggling. Isildur wants to give him food. The girl's like, no, we should just move on. And Isildur gives him food anyway. But it's a trap. The old man has the Mordor mark branded into him, meaning he's loyal to Adar.
Yeah.
And then a bunch of them jump out of the wagon and attack him. But this is when it's Arondir? That's his name, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Arondir comes in. He saves the day. He shoots everyone. But 3 did get away with on horses, and one of them was on Barrack.
Yeah.
And you can tell Arondir's in a mood. He won't tell Isildur. He won't help Isildur get his horse back, and he says he has his own affairs to attend to in Pelargir.
Okay. So again with this horse, I mean, look, this horse fought 4 orcs and won. It won easily. It killed 2 of them and ran off. And it didn't.
Yeah,
buck
how is the human able to tame him immediately?
it didn't buck this rider as soon as